Hi everyone, welcome to another vlog on the Mathematics Hub. Today we're going to talk about the idea of equality in mathematics and the meaning of the equal sign. So in our classrooms in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 and up, oftentimes we put equations on the board or in front of our students that look similar to the ones that are on the screen right now, 5 plus 2 or 249 times 26. And we ask students to solve these equations, to come up with what the answer is. And as we're asking students to come up with the answer of what goes on the other side of the equal sign, oftentimes students start to get the conception that the equal sign means the same as the answer is. And so they see something like this, an equation like any of these, and they think, okay, my job right now is to figure out what the answer is. That in many cases could be what they're supposed to do, but it isn't the true meaning of the equal sign. In fact, the equal sign really means more like what is the same or the same. And so we want students to start thinking about that what's on one side of the equal sign should be the same as what's on the other side of the equal sign. So if we have 5 plus 2 on one side, we should have the same amount on the other side, or a 7. And with that understanding, students have a richer and deeper understanding of the equal sign and actually have the ability to use it as they move up through the grades. And so one of the things we can do for our students is to help them see that the equal sign doesn't always mean the answer is on the other side of it. We can put the box on one side and it doesn't need to be on the other side. So in the first equation there, 5 plus something equals 7. What would make it the same on both sides? What would make that work? And so in those cases, students are starting to think about what is the relationship between them? What is the relationship on one side and how is that the same as the relationship on the other side, and how can they be equal? In our curriculum in Saskatchewan, the idea of equality lives in our outcomes all the way starting in grade 1. And so you'll see it as it progresses up through the grade levels. It's found in the patterns and relations outcomes, not the number ones, which sometimes can seem like a bit of a strange place to put it, but it is really the idea of the relationship that is important. And that is why those equality outcomes live in the patterns and relationship section or strand of our curriculum. So as we're thinking about the idea of equality, there's a few things we can do as teachers to help our students see that relationship or that sameness. One thing we can do is help students conceptualize the equal sign as a balance and help see that on one side of the equation, it should be the same as the other side of the equation. We're looking for balance. Sometimes we don't have balance, and then we call that inequality, where the balance is off. In this particular case, I even flipped it a little bit and put the question mark on the left-hand side as opposed to the right-hand side. So students start to learn that it doesn't, each side has to be the same in an equality equation. We can help students start to think about true and false statements and give them statements that aren't true, that where it isn't the answer is, and ask them, is this a true statement? Is 4 plus 1, does that equal 7? Is the equation balanced? Is it the same on both sides? And when they say no, that's not the answer, then we could ask them, well, how could we make it the same? How could we make this statement true? And how could we make it balanced on both sides? And so they may come up with, well, it could be 4 plus 3 equals 7, which would in fact be an equality. It would be making it the same. They could also think, though, about what would we add to that left-hand side to make it the same as the right-hand side. And so we may be thinking about 4 plus 1 plus 2 equals 7, and start thinking about balancing on either side of the equal sign. Another idea would be to use open sentences with students, like the ones I've already shown you, where we have that box, that part that we don't know, the unknown quantity, and what would we put in there so that we could make this equation the same on both sides, and have those conversations. As students move up through the grades, we start changing that box to maybe a question mark. And we would eventually start replacing it with a variable or a letter, like in algebra. And so you'll start to see that as students move up through the grades. And the last thing we can think about is the idea of relational thinking. What is the relationship between these numbers? So in this last equation that I have up there, the equation is 68 plus 58 equals 57 plus 69 plus n. And as I'm thinking about the relationship in that particular equation, I'm thinking, okay, 69 is one more than 68. So there's an extra one on one side. But then 58 is one more than 57. So there's an extra one on that side. So the equation is actually balanced because those numbers are the same, or one more, one less than the other. So in that case, n has to be 0 because it's already balanced. And so being able to think about what's the relationship between 58 and 57 and 68 and 69 can help students think about that balance or that sameness in the equation. So hopefully this has given you a little bit of information about the idea of equality in mathematics and some things you can do with your students to help them move from the answer is to same.